Good morning, afternoon, and evening, my crazies. My name's Angela. I'm the Crazy Poppy Lady owner, and welcome to today's Whips, Bits, and Chat. Come on, let's go and see what I can think about to talk about. See you in a sec. Okay, so welcome in. I would just like to welcome all my new subscribers and of course all my oldies as well. Now, as you heard in the opening title, I do a blanket hello to all my crazies. And that doesn't matter if you just subscribe or if you're a channel supporter. You are all my crazies. You must be to spend time with me. Now it's time for a cheeky ask. If you haven't already, do me a favour, hit the thumbs up. That'll tell the algorithm that people actually are watching. And if you like the content today, please remember to add a comment in the comment section down below. That's the bit I love the most. It's my way of getting to know you guys a little bit better. Right, so let's get on with the video today. First up, we of course have a video roundup. Now I managed to get a video out to you this week which was about the granny square yarn from Yarnspirations and how long it took me to actually make that granny square. We are not talking about it, okay? I fast forwarded. Just know it was hours and hours of frogging. So my thought was I'm gonna chuck it away. But I haven't. I'll tell you more about that in a few moments. If you haven't had a chance to watch that one, it's definitely worth a watch, worth a giggle. It is not a tutorial, okay? It's just me showing you how the yarn worked for me and whether I did or didn't like it at that point. I have to say it like that because how can I put it? I reached for it again last night. I was like, I'm in the process of doing tutorials. The tutorial set, I should say, for the monkey, and not the monkey, the elephant snuggly that's coming up soon. The pattern I showed you last week. If you hadn't had a chance to catch that sneaky peek, have a look up there. It's in the last week's Whips, Bits and Chat. But I'd had enough of seeing Ellie. I really had enough of seeing her. So I locked this room up, just grabbed that bag of that granny square yarn from Yarnspiration and went downstairs because I had seen a one photograph where someone had said, guess what? I used it to make this granny square pattern. And I thought, no, really? I wonder. Now, the granny square pattern that she was using wasn't actually a square. It's a hexagon. I did it. So I made the granny hexagon. Now I will be doing a video later on today or possibly tomorrow that I'll put up later on in the week that shows you how I did it so that you can copy it and get your own granny hexagon instead of that awful granny square. Now I say it like that because actually I was sitting up here. I wasn't downstairs at that point. I was sitting up here, I was listening to the soundtrack from Supernatural because that's my chill out tune at the moment. That whole track. If I start getting a bit stressy, it goes on and I start rocking away to the soundtrack. So if you want a link to the soundtrack, it's in the description box down below. Okay, so if you want to play that over the top of the other video that will be coming up this week, you can do. It will be in that one as well because I like the soundtrack. Okay, so I'm there And I did the granny centre, okay, and I left the same length of tail as it stated on the square, and it hit. I got a woo endorphin hit. I was like, I did it. And then I was like, oh, come on, Ange. The middle's the same amount of stitches, girl. Don't be such a twit. So then I moved on to the red round. Now, I was using the same hook. I refuse to swap hooks from this point on, okay? I am using the same hook, which is a 4.5mm. Definitely not what it says on the label that I've seen on the internet. But I've done the second section and I wasn't paying attention. I was rocking on. And it hit. And I'm like, okay. Am I going to be lucky with round 3? I was lucky with all of them pretty much. I might have had to have frogged it back a tiny little bit, sort of half a side or a side to redo to get enough to do 2 slip stitches, say. But other than that, it hit pretty much every time. Every time. I was in so much shock, and I was seriously doped up on happy juice and happy naturals that we get when things work out for us. Then I went downstairs at that point. I went downstairs with this in hand, with the leftover little ball that I had, because I've actually separated one of the balls in the bag into a little hanks that would make 2 granny squares. And so I took the rest of that little one down, and I went, I wonder what else. I wonder if there's another one that I can make. Now, I'd never made one of these before. Okay, never made it. I just went from a chart I found on the internet. Then I was like, there's one that I've always liked, which was the African flower. Okay, now this is also a hexagon, and I thought, well, if I can get 2 that match, I might be able to do something with it. But you know, Poppy, she don't like making things twice, does she? So because of the poppies, right? So this one was done. This one was and left up here. No, downstairs. I showed my husband. He went, yeah, it's crochet. I was like, you just don't get it. And I started on the African flower. Now, there are some changes in this pattern because of the way that the pattern is written and the colour changes that you would normally have added, okay? But here it is. And there is a slight change on the way that one of the rounds of stitches is done as well, so that it accommodates the colour change. And I got some left over. So yeah, this one is going to have 4 ends sewn in. But 4 ends over 2, 4, 6, 8, over 10. That's a win. Surely, that's a win. I've found a pattern that's working for me. Okay, so I'm playing with this granny square yarn yet again. I will not be defeated. I want to be able to make something with it. Now, I've noticed personally for me that the easier something is, the harder I find it. And the more complicated something is, the more I seem to be able to do it really, really easy. First attempt. First attempt. And it's hitting pretty much every time. I'm buzzing at this moment in time. So I've got this last corner. The yarn's still coming out of the cake. I don't know how much is left. Am I going to have to fudge it? What I will actually do is in a moment, once this one is done, because I'm so hyped, I'm going to get on the camera and record a little tutorial for you for next week on how to do this one. I just saw a sketch of this floating around somewhere. Oh, the black's come through. Got 2 to go, 2 to go, 2 to go. But yeah, as I was saying, what was I saying? Yeah, tutorial next week to show you how to do the granny square. The granny hexagon using the granny square yarn. and I will see how many other patterns I can find that have either worked for somebody else or that may work for me or may work for you, and I'm just going to keep playing until I get a collection. I now know I can do two. One very badly and one that seems to have just fallen into my lap. Next bit. Oh no, not next bit. I've just come up to the end of the round. So no chaining, Ange. Get your brain in gear. We are going to slip stitch to the first. And what I'm doing is slip stitching over. Now you're going to be able to see the yarn before me. Oh, so I haven't actually checked to see if I need to pull my slip stitch a little bit tighter. Don't be so loose, woman. Don't be so, be tight like normal. Okay, so that is my last slip stitch. Are you ready for this? It's hit. So my very first stitch on my next round is the next colour. I feel like a right idiot, but I tell you what, I am buzzing. Right, now let's get on to the next item. Oh, I think a couple of adjustments need to be made so I've got enough to sew in. Okay, bye-bye chain on the corners. Ah, forget it, I'm just going to close it and live dangerously. Move over granny squares, time for hexagons. Okay, so last night I was really happy, went to bed all happy, and this morning I woke up and stupidly went, I wonder how many more of these squares I can get done. So I'm taking the deep breath and I'm looking down at this square. I've decided squares are not my thing when it comes to this yarn, because I thought, well, I've done the standard granny square, so let's go for a solid. Solid's complete. Solid took me just as long as the other one. Okay, that one that I'm saying through gritted teeth. The first two rounds clicked, they hit, and I'm like, brilliant. The next round, I was shy about 4 or 5 stitches, so strip it back a bit, be a bit tighter on the tension, because of course as you get into a project you start relaxing, and that's when the tension can muck up a bit. So took it back a row, pulled it tight, managed to get it to hit. The red, how many times? Stripped it back 3 times. So of course, because I've stripped it back, the yarn's been worked 3 times, which means the weave on the yarn is a bit thinner. Or not a bit thinner, sorry, it's a bit more, the elastication of the yarn has been stretched out a bit more. So finally I got it to line up. Finally, she says. The black round, I tried it twice, relaxing, using the same hook. I tried it, well, the first time I tried it with the same hook, same tension as the red. I had over half a row that I needed. So I stripped it back. Tried it again, tighter. 3 stitches left. So I ripped it back again, and I'm like, if I have to swap hooks, I'm going to have to come upstairs to get it, and I can't be bothered. So I pulled this yarn as tight as I would when I'm doing when I used to do my amigurumi. I'll say used to, when I didn't actually know that there's a certain tension gauge to using yarn, okay? And that you shouldn't really over tighten it. But yeah, if I'd wrapped the yarn around my finger, which I don't do, but if I had, my finger would have turned blue. Okay, but as you can see, I managed this one. Okay, now, in the video later on in the week, I will probably cut out this section I'm talking about now and incorporate it in as the opening section, because it's quite funny, and probably add more to it. But yeah, next week's video, I will be showing you how I did both the African flower and the hexagon granny. Okay, and how I cheated in some places to make sure that the yarn hit where it needed to. Okay, they're not massive cheats, but yeah, there was a couple of cheats in there, but they're worth knowing, and you can incorporate those cheats into the other granny square that's up the top there, that's hiding from, that I've hidden from myself. I can see the corner. Oh, I'll get it out. I still haven't sewn ends in, but that one, the basic granny. Okay, so you can, in theory, use those little tip, that I'll have in that video for this one. Right, on to Ellie. Well, from this end of things, Ellie's head's done. Isn't she cute? I love Ellie. I must admit, I'm chuffed with this one. So Ellie's head's done. All her components are done. It's a case of doing the video to show you how to sew it all up. And then add the legs on and sew the feet on. And then she's done. But I'll also be using parts of that video for the larger elephant in the larger elephants in the set, because if you purchase the written pattern that's not available quite yet, but I will shout when it is, you will have the small elephant, the details on the small elephant, how to upsize it for a pajama bag, and then how to upsize it again for a rucksack. So this Ellie is going to be my rucksack. I'm going to have too many. I'm going to have rucksacks hanging up on these poles. That's where they're going to go. Yeah, so Ellie will be a rucksack at some point. I've just got to finish it. I hate editing. Because half the time the mouth and the hands don't work at the same time, so I end up having to re-go over and redub it. But I will get there in the end. And another thing that I've been working on this week is with one of my gorgeous crazies who's testing that monkey pattern. Now, when I first got home, I thought, oh, I've got to make the components up. So I made a monkey hand, haven't stuffed it. Made a monkey foot, still haven't stuffed it. Made a monkey ear, didn't need stuffing. And I've made a monkey nostril because I realised all the rest of it needed to be videoed to add to the written pattern and then for a tutorial here. But I'm not loving filming at the moment. I will be honest, I'm not loving filming the tutorials. My new seat sits a lot lower than my old one, so the angles that I have to get my arms into really do start hurting. So after about an hour I have to stop and I have to rest, and then I have to talk myself into coming back upstairs to do the next bit. So my tutorials are taking a lot longer because this is such a large item. So I'm tempted to just make a tutorial showing how to do the more complicated sections of the pattern, to then add that to the pattern and not actually bring in a monkey as a full tutorial on the channel. It will be, you'll get the help you need within a tutorial format if you purchase the pattern. I know I'm a cow, I don't really want to do it, but then on the other hand, it may be something I need to do so that I can get this pattern out. And then of course, if you bought the pattern and you need extra help, you know where to come. Right, what else was there? Don't tell me I've finished it already. Yeah, so I was saying that's in the process of being tested at the moment. She has picked up on some doozies in my written pattern. Like the fact that on the first page I tell you you're only going to need 2 hooks, and then later on in the pattern I tell you a completely different hook size. She messaged me, she went, did you mean this? I went, no. So that I'm so thankful that she's there. She's checking where the apostrophes need to be, helping me shorten down my dribbly bits, the main written section, so it's more bullet pointed, and it's easier then for people to run it through a translation if they needed to, and just helping me out big time. Absolutely beautiful she is. So much so I said to her, would you like the other pattern that I've got going through testing at the moment? I'll give it to you when it's finished being tested. She said, yeah, not a problem. Who's testing it? I said, I haven't got anyone yet. She said, all right, pass it over, I'll test that one too. Bless her, she's such a sweetie, but she's mine and I'm not telling you who it is because somebody will nick her. She's mine. Now, some of you have been asking when the Jackie jumper is going to be coming onto the channel. That's this little beauty here. Now, the written pattern is available on Ravelry. There's a link up there. But the tutorial will be coming out to you on this channel on Wednesday this week coming. And it's a two-parter, so the second part will be out in a fortnight's time. That should hopefully give you enough time to get part 1 done. If not, it doesn't matter, because part 2 will be coming out and you'll be able to refer back to it later. Now, I don't go into major detail in regards to sizing on that video, and because with us all swapping yarns for different ones, okay, because of the availability in our individual countries, and of course, as I've now learned, because of those granny squares, how tension can affect the end product. In the video, I do discuss how to do it and how to make it so that it fits you. Okay, so there will be a little bit of mental math for you to do. It's not that difficult, honestly, it's not. Okay, but have fun watching the video, and of course making it if you choose to do so. And please remember, send me photos even at the end of video 1, when of course your jumper's not going to be complete because you've got to wait for video number 2. Right, that's pretty much all I've got for you this week. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Please remember to leave a comment in the comment section down below, even if you want to call me daft or do lally, I really don't mind. Right, I'm going to head off now. I will see you all really, really soon. So please remember to stay chilled, stay happy, and keep crafting. Goodbye, everybody.